Can you elaborate on what your pitch was to the government last night?
Look, obviously having these measures put in place, should it be announced today, will be disappointing, but it's not devastating. And this is about making sure that we keep the venues open and operating. So what we've identified is we need to, as a community, we need to tighten up that contact tracing, because that's the key to this, is being able to trace any people that go to any type of venue. And when you think about pubs and clubs, that's where those records are being maintained quite effectively. So we're just stepping that up.
Well, it's been reported this morning, John, that the Australian Hotels Association did have some involvement in those conversations with the government last night. Did that actually happen?
We've been in communication with the government since the shutdown back in March. We're in constant communication with all levels of government and also police, liquor and gaming and New South Wales Health, just on what the best measures are to keep people safe.
So
and to keep venues operating.
So what proposals did you make last night?
Look, obviously, as I said, we've had ongoing discussions, so it's up for the Premier and Cabinet to consider a range of information that's put to them and make relevant decisions. So it's up to the Premier what announcements she makes.
So you weren't the one to propose, reducing 20 to 10. I guess that doesn't make sense.
No, look, I've got a level of frustration across New South Wales from our members, but the important thing is that the people need to get the message, be it a licensee, their staff, or particularly the patrons that think that they can gather in huddles in queues. They need to be part of this solution. It's not just up to the licensees. That's why we have to work together.
OK, well, just on that, to break a few different points here to break down then, what sort of an economic impact could that have to pubs by reducing the sizes from groups of 20 to groups of 10?
I think it's about people changing their behaviour. Like when we were shut down in March, we saw 94% of our employees stood down or laid off, and we've talked about that before. Now we're back open again. We've been able to re-employ about 45,000 of our staff. We wanted to increase that patronage. It's the outbreak in southwestern Sydney that's caused this concern. So that's the focus for us in nipping this in the bud, in working with police and New South Wales Health in particular to stop this, so we don't see what's happened in Victoria and we don't get shut down again. So that's what we're concentrating on.
But it will have a financial effect, right?
It's important that we put these measures in place so it doesn't have a greater financial impact. And if we shut down again and had a second shutdown like Victoria, that would be devastating. And that's why, at the moment, we have a concern. Health have given advice, obviously, to the Premier, and they'll be making an announcement just to make sure that we've got the measures in place. That's what we've got to focus on.
What about the 300-person limit?
Look, obviously, we've got some large venues across New South Wales, and our opinion is still that one patron per 4 square metres is the rule across the board, and that should continue to be the measurement, because the larger venues with good social distancing in place have the capacity to look after their patrons, keep them safe.
And there's going to be a COVID-safe officer for crowds above 250. Is that something that you support?
Look, we've got responsible service of alcohol marshals in place at the moment. Many venues have actually got COVID-safe people going around, making sure the venues are clean, making sure there's sanitisation in place, that touch points regularly cleaned, that those things like salt and pepper shakers and menus are regularly cleaned, just to make sure people are safe. So having someone in position to do that, yes, that's obviously an option.
Well, it sounds like the Crossroads Hotel missed the memo on that one.
Look, my information is, and there has been some misinformation out there, that my information is that 80% of the patrons at the Crossroads were through online bookings, and they were complying with the public health order that said that one of each group had to register their details. So what they've now done, as of yesterday, I know that they've now gone back above the requirements, and they've got every person that's entering the venue recording their details. But it's important that again, what I said, not only do staff and the licensees have to do that, it's not a game for people to try and avoid their responsibilities. The patrons need to record their details. And if someone says, oh, look, I snuck in a side entrance and I didn't record my details, we're trying to keep that person safe. They should present themselves.
But shouldn't they be enforced by the individual pub or the hotel, though? Because I've been to some restaurants, I've been to some pubs in recent weeks, And you do see that form there on the table, but it's not really enforced. It's kind of like, well, if you can, do it. So shouldn't the onus be on the individual pub to make sure that people are actually doing it?
Oh, absolutely. It's part of their COVID safety plan that they record the details of any person that enters, but it's also a condition of entry that the patron has to do it. As I said, it's not a game. It is something that is designed to keep them safe and to be able to trace them should the need arise. So that's why it's a shared responsibility. Absolutely, the venue has a responsibility, but we're just pleading with the patrons to comply with what's required so we don't see further restrictions and we can continue to move the New South Wales economy forward.
Have you got an issue with the fact that there's going to be these changes to group sizes at pubs, but they're not applied to other places, like the casino gets away with it again? Do you think it should be a one-size-fits-all approach, or are you happy with that system that's now in place?
Look, I've got a level of frustration from our members right across New South Wales. I can only deal with what's in front of me in relation to the AHA and hotels, and we'll continue to work with government to ensure that our venues are treated fairly and that also we have measures in place to keep people safe. That's what this is all about.
Pretty ordinary, though. It was pretty ordinary, those huge queues at the Golden Sheaf, though, wasn't it?
Look, and again, the New South Wales Police that inspected the venue said that inside the venue was fine and had been consistently. This is about the patrons complying with the security officers' instructions for them to socially distance. That's what they need to do. This is serious, and we take it seriously. We just ask that the patrons do the same thing.
So you don't think that the Sheaf should face a fine, and do you also think that the Crossroads Hotel shouldn't be fined either?
Look, the situation with the Golden Sheaf is that that we've been told that Liquor and Gaming have taken action against that particular venue in relation to their COVID safety plan and not maintaining that social distancing outside the venue. In relation to Crossroads, whether there's investigation underway, I've reviewed their safety plan and their plan of management, and we've been working with that venue since the incident occurred. But at the end of the day, the virus came from, we believe, south of the border, and the Crossroads, unfortunately, was the venue that it went to. People go to gyms, people go to schools. It indicates how virulent this virus is.
But those pubs, they should face fines if things aren't under control. Do you agree?
We heard from Assistant Commissioner Cook yesterday that the time for warnings is well and truly over. We've been constantly in communication with our members across New South Wales. Yesterday we had over 900 of our venues on a Zoom call where we went through the procedures again and just said how important it is that they not only have a plan in place, but they have measures to ensure that it's maintained. Bear in mind that this is now the fourth public health order since we reopened, so things are constantly changing and they're working very intelligently, I suppose, with difficult circumstances.